I don't have time to let you do that. So you guys can work on those on your own. It's not enormously difficult. But let's talk about a few more things. The reason I stopped the integer one is because things get a little hard. Until you get to this part. When we're looking at points, it makes perfect sense to start talking about things like, it would be really good if we can do, point minus point subtraction or point plus point addition, right? This is the same as essentially a vector operation. Maybe even negate a point, flip it around the origin. And it becomes really convenient to use the same notation, right? There's an intuitive sense of what the plus means in terms of integers, but also in terms of point 2Ds, right? You just add the x coordinates and you add the x and the y coordinates. So one of the things we can do is we can start building these. So we can go to our point class and we can build in an add function, right? And add is going to take self and other, right? Just like this, it's going to take 2 points. And what it's going to return is it's going to return a new point, right? We're going to create a whole new point. And it's going to be the x coordinate plus the y coordinate. And we can do the same thing with, what other things we do it in? Well, I guess that's where we start, right? So we'll kind of do this one. Let's run that, right? And now this gives us, we can do our P and our Q. Like I said, sometimes it doesn't make sense to go too far back. Q equals 0.2D minus 7 minus 3. Why not? That'll give us a nice easy one. Right? And now we can do P dot add Q. And what we'll end up with is we'll end up with a whole new point. Let's do our point, what was it, point printer. Right? 7 plus minus 7 is 0. 3 plus minus 3 is 0. It gives us a whole new point that has the new value, that has the results of our operation, and we do that without touching P or without touching Q, which is kind of the semantics you want. Because when you do 5 plus 4, right? 5 is still 5 and 4 is still 4. We're not changing either one of those. So when we add 2 points together, we probably want to build a whole nother point. So let's take a closer look at add. Well, there's our initializer, right? That's going to call this. So if we want to set this to have some initial values, we have to give it an x value, right? There's the x value, our x plus the other guy's x, and we have to give it a y value, and there's our y value. So this is just the initializer, the point 2D call. Right? Just the point 2D call with some calculations in the arguments. And in fact, we could do this differently if we wanted. We could say new x equals self x plus other x. And we could do new y equals self y plus other y. And if we were scared about doing calculations in our point 2D function, this would be now new x and new y, and this is still going to work. If we actually get it right. Okay, this is actually going to work. Okay, and we can come in here and we can create our P and our Q, and we can do our point printer P add Q, and that gives us zeros. But this isn't what I promised you, right? I said we should be able to do something like this. Well, this add operator, this add method, underscore, underscore, add, underscore, underscore, is actually called an operator. And if you define that, you can now do P plus Q. Right? Or we can do R equals P plus Q, point printer R. And we now, when we see a point plus a point, right, we actually call our add function. And that's the same as with integers. That's where I wanted to get to. If I do an int 5 dot underscore add 7 or 12, right, that's going to give us 17. So this is exactly the same as doing 5 plus 12. Okay, and it's the same notation. All you're doing is this is an operator. When you see this with two integers, you call that operator. And this exists for floats and exists for lists, right? In lists, it turns into a concatenation. In strings, it turns into a concatenation. So all of these things actually exist. One really important one is the string function. And the string function does something like did I do it again? String, this got small all of a sudden. String 17 gives us the 17, and I don't know why that went small. That was funky. Well, we'll leave this here for now. Hopefully you guys can still see that. I don't know what I did. My fingers are all over the place today. All right. So anyways, one of the important ones is the string function. So we can come in here and we can say string 13, and that turns it into the string whose value 13. Or we can do string of L, right? And that turns it into a string. Essentially, when you execute the string operator, this gives you what you want to happen when you say print L, right? This is what comes out when you do the print. So that is just underscore underscore str underscore underscore self. And I'm going to not define this one for right now. So we will use the pass to tell us that that should be there, but we're not going to put it in yet. And there are a bunch of these, right? We can have any for not equal. We can have EQ for equal. We can have LE for less than or equal, LT for less than, right? All of these exist as operators, and they map into the operators you would expect based on, ordering. What else do we have here? We are really close to the end of time. And I can't flip my pages. Oh, not bad at all. So, what I want you to understand is a couple of things. Right? Distance and magnitude didn't modify anything, but they returned a value, right? Add didn't modify anything, but it created a new point and returned a new point. These guys are going to all return something. This is going to return a string, Boolean, Boolean, Boolean. Right? You can also do things like, and then we had the initialization function, which doesn't return anything, but it changes the values of the actual attributes. And these are all three ways of going about it. You can have things that aren't an initialization value that change the value of a function. So we could have def 0. So let's say we want to 0 our point. And that could just come in here and do self.x equals 0, self.y equals 0. Okay? And all that does is it doesn't return anything. It doesn't create a new point, but what it does is it modifies the attributes we already have for the point. And all of these are valid ways to proceed. This is enough information for you now to do all of the lecture exercises. Couple of things I do want to touch on. Generally, we put a class per module, or if you have several closely related classes, you put them in a single module. Maybe you're starting to see why we want you to use that if underscore underscore name equals main kind of guard, because you can put your module here, and then down below we can do that. And we can put our test code down here to test our class to make sure that it works and continues to work, right? And that's this line here, right? We can put it down here, put it in this, if name block, and we can put our testing code here. And yeah, we'll talk about this and so on down below or at the next class. I think at this point, read through this. This will help you. I talked about this just quickly, and go ahead. You guys are free to go.